Okay, thanks everybody for signing up and joining in for this this final Lunch and Learn episode of this 5-part series on diversity in the workplace. Anyone who's just joined us, can you either put a thumbs up or just acknowledge that you can see me, hear me, and see my slide? I don't know if you can relay that message, if we're getting anything in the chat.
Thank you.
Amazing. Okay, we're going to make a start. Conscious of time, we've only got the hour to fill. We've got 11 dial-in at the moment, and we've got over 40 sign-ups. So I should imagine many people will be dropping in, but we need to crack on. So basically, thanks very much for signing up. This is a joint venture on behalf of the CIOB and ISPE. We're thanking Sonny for his time today, also Waits and Bill Force for being key sponsors in this initiative. And we're going to move forward. So we are recording this for sharing in future networking events. It's going to be available on the CIOB Academy website, and I think the ISPE are also going to make this recording available. So if you don't want to be recorded for prosperity, please hide yourselves on your camera and mute where appropriate. B's going to be monitoring the doors, so getting people in and out of the session, and also if there's any chat, any questions throughout this episode. So without further ado, I'm going to get into it. So this is episode 5 of a 5-part series on diversity in workplace. A lot previously has been focused on neurodiversity and different types of neurodivergence. This one has been a bit of a segue into a different sector, but also as important is looking at ex-forces personnel and the amazing skills that them people can bring with them into our life sciences and built environment, so into the CIOB and ISPE. From a CIOB perspective, we're a one-stop shop for modern professionalism. We've got a EDI charter, and also our corporate plan is looking at sort of talent and skills and quality retention within the built environment. So we've got over 50,000 strong members, hopefully 50,001 with Sonny joining us soon. But again, one of our sort of key drivers is to ensure that we've got a strong talent pool, talent pipeline across the industry that will trickle into life sciences and the built environment, which touches Chris's ISPE as well. But we want to do it in an ethical way, in the right way, and having webinars and events like this promotes our values, but similarly broadens our networks, drives the messages across sectors, cross-functional. So people like Sonny can come and work in our sectors once a tour of duty has been complete in serving through the military. Chris, you okay inputting this slide, please, mate?
I am, yeah. Thanks, Lee. Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Chris Lehman. Day job, AstraZeneca Global Engineering Function. Non-day job, dad, husband, ISPE UK Vice Chair. For those who don't know what ISPE stands for, and apologies if you've heard this before, it's the International Society of Pharmaceutical Engineering. And we operate globally. I think we've got about 21,000 members. 1,000 of those are in the UK, split across 4 regions: Northwest, Northeast, South and Central. So yeah, we've got a very active community, principally technically driven across, like Lee said, built environments and the whole life sciences sector. When Lee approached me about doing something and collaborating on, embracing diversity, with Lee's, how can I put it, with Lee's infectious enthusiasm, it was absolutely something that I wanted to get involved with, because what we don't do as a UK community, we don't do enough in this space. And it's certainly at board level, it's certainly something that we want to start doing more as we kind of close out 2024 and move into 2025. There will be more CIOB collaborations with ourselves. A couple of pictures there in terms of women in pharma function and emerging leaders function, so very similar to CIOB in that respect. And it's just important to iterate the kind of the broad spectrum of people within our organisation. It's not just engineers, we do span all disciplines, so obviously that diversity aspect is really important to us. Okay, hope you enjoyed the call, and I'll pass back to Lee.
Thanks, Chris. Great insight from the ISPE, and again, we're really looking forward to working into 25 collectively on this. There's a lot of good feedback from these series to date, so we've definitely got some great ideas to impact industry and get our membership levels up across both institutes. Segues quite nicely into this slide, actually, and again, you know, we're a buoyant industry across the UK. I don't think there's anywhere really where we've seen a sort of shrink in construction across the globe. So we know in the UK, for example, we need shortly up to 250,000 people in construction by 2027 to sustain that pipeline of capital. And again, we've got that's translated across the full globe, really. You know, it's not just a UK problem. Talent across the whole globe to satisfy our demand is a hot topic, and it aligns with our corporate plan. On that, and there's been some reports to substantiate this. You know, 20,000 people leave the armed forces annually. And again, them individuals have worked in challenging environments, and they bring a strong skill set of collaboration and leadership capabilities with them when they come out of the military and the armed forces. Yeah, so it's ideally suited for us in construction. So again, you know, that's a talent pipeline we're looking to further tap into. This is substantiated further by the great work that Buildforce, who we'll come on to in a minute, and CIOB have worked on in some surveys across construction professionals. So we think, yeah, the talent like Sonny and other people coming out of the military will satisfy some of our skills gap. But, and this is however, really, we realise there's not enough promotion of this across the industry. So all the good works, Waits, CIOB, Buildforce are doing, all the advocacy that Sonny's doing as a pro bono, you know, out there trying to engage with people. 57% of construction professionals are not aware of schemes or projects where we're looking to sort of leverage that opportunity with the ex-military personnel. So we really need to promote that, hence what we're doing today, hence why we're recording this, hence why we're going to do more work in this space in the new year. Similar, and back into the lived experience with Sonny, only 36% of respondents who had a background in the armed forces were aware of any advice or guidance around that. So these amazing people coming out of military into the job market, into further career opportunities, not knowing that our major tier one construction organisations, our institutions, Buildforce programme, for example, are doing a lot of good work in this space to set people up for success. So Buildforce are doing this, and they've been doing it since 2011. They've been working in close partnership with CIOB in different functions since then, but we're trying to sort of refresh that and bring that closer to home in the north of England hubs and across the region, really. But again, they've been a real good leader in this space for over a decade now, and again, that's tapping into talent from the Air Force, the Army, Navy and Marines, coming from a trade background but also professional management capacity, so into the wider built environment. And hopefully, Chris and the ISPE, you will see people with that skill set coming in and joining your institution as well. One person we've got the pleasure of hosting today, Sonny Bailey. We're going to get on into Sonny's lived experience and more detail in that in a moment. But this sort of conversation stemmed from an Insight Day that Buildforce championed and Waits sponsored in Manchester. So again, that was October 23, so not long ago. But you'll hear shortly how Sonny attended that, how that initiative has accumulated in Sonny getting a really good foothold and a career stepping stone into weights and into the back into construction and our sector. So again, the rest is history, which you will hear from shortly. Weights also see, as you know, from CIOB, we realise that 250,000 people are needed. Weights, being an employer of over 14,000 people and doing a massive portfolio of projects across the UK, realise that to satisfy their customers, why not invest in the talent pipeline through Buildforce and in the military space. So again, Sonny will give some insight on how Weights have walked the talk there, and you know, Sonny's forging his career with some amazing sliding door moments with advocates such as Angela, John Curry in Weights, for example. So yeah, we're going to really look at that throughout the rest of this session. So gives me great pleasure really to introduce our guest speaker, Sonny Bailey. Now, Sonny is an Army veteran with over a decade, 12 years of military experience. He's now a site manager for Weights, but the skills that he took into the military, he's developed and he's brought out of the military has put him in real good stead to forge a career as a construction manager within Weights. Hopefully, his lived experience we'll discuss it over the next half an hour, but it'll be clearly see that as you know, that driving initiative he's got, he'll move from strength to strength, get his MVQ level 6, and ultimately we've got a big aspiration of CIOB to increase our membership grades. Hopefully this time next year Sonny will be chartered and he'll have a cap and gown and all the recognition from doing that. He's also passionate about helping others within the industry to transition from military to the construction sector. So that's enough about sort of the context of this webinar, this series, this episode. And now I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna allow Sonny the airtime to introduce himself.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Just want to thank yourself, Lee, and B, and everyone from the CIOB for putting on such a good event. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for me, and it allows me to sort of share my experiences, my journey we use today, but also gives me the chance to potentially sort of help others who might find themselves in a similar situation or know somebody who's also sort of in a similar situation. As you've heard, I was in the army. I was in the army for 12 years. I served in the Royal Signals. I proudly got promoted to the rank of sergeant. During my time in the military, I was fortunate to be based in numerous countries, Germany, Canada, UK, and I've had the privilege of sort of traveling around the world on exercises and operations. These experiences have provided me with a skill set and a set of values that I like to try to strive to live by each day. I'm incredibly proud of the time that I served in the army. The military gives people, a lot of opportunities for personal growth, and I'll be sort of forever thankful for that. Moving from such a sort of structured environment that the military is into a new career is definitely challenging, but the comparisons and the similarities that the military and the construction has definitely made that a lot smoother than I first anticipated. So yeah, just thanks again. Really looking forward to being here, and thanks.
Great insight, great introduction. And again, just for the listeners, we're going to try and keep this up like a conversation. So I'm going to prompt you along and do some interviewee questions on the way as we get through your slide deck. But basically, yeah, much appreciate with your time. We're going to get into it now. So we're going to start looking at the timelines of your life, your early life, your military, and then your time out of the military back into civilian life, and then basically your next steps, mate. Okay.
Sure.
So on to your early years. Are you going to, if you'd like to talk about this, please, mate?
So sure. 37 years young, or 36 years young at the moment, born in 1988. Grew up in Salford, Manchester lad, Man U fan through and through. I went to Wentworth High School in Salford. During my time in school, I attended the Army Cadets. I actually went to the cadets with a best friend of mine, a lad called Stephen Gleave. It was always our intention to join the military, join the army once we left school. Unfortunately, Stephen passed away when we were 12 years old, which is quite a sort of prominent point in my life. And looking back now, sort of become, I'd say, a little bit distant. Lost a lot of interest in a lot of things that I was interested in at the time, and became a bit rebellious, bit of a naughty kid. Ended up going to a school 2 days a week. From my main school called Silverdale. Now, some people would probably refer to it as a bit of a naughty boys' school. It really wasn't. In reality, it was sort of it was like a construction-based school where it sort of provided young boys and girls with the basic skills in sort of carpentry, bricklaying, painting and decorating. So I'd say that was probably the thing that sparked my decision to sort of pursue a career in carpentry when I left school. I didn't leave school with the best of grades, I'm not going to lie. Looking back at it now, I can laugh at it now. Now I've sort of lived my life and sort of regained them qualifications through my military career. I actually left school. My first four GCSEs spelled dude, Dude, which is again, can look back at and laugh at. But yeah, that was sort of my school years, if you will.
Yeah, and if I could just come in there, Sonny, I think we keep referring to these sliding door moments, and but the tragic, terrible experience you encountered when you were 12. But that's awful, and big respect for you to come out of that. But basically, I think the sliding doors moment after that was where you got put into Silverdale, and you clearly thought, look, this lad needs some help. Let's try and set him up for success with a trade, because when he comes out of school, if his grades aren't too clever, at least we've given him the tools to earn a living. So I think that was that's quite significant sliding doors moment for you. Now, would you like to go on to what you did next in with the Carillion, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I say, I left school. I left school at Silverdale with a building craft occupational course. So, with that, I pursued an apprenticeship. I managed to sort of secure an apprenticeship with Carillion Construction Training, where I completed my MVQ level 1 in carpentry. I was then lucky enough to move to Bramhall Construction and complete my MVQ level 2. And it was then that Bramhall sort of offered me a cards in position as a joiner, where I sort of specialised predominantly in second, third fix joinery, fitting kitchens, bathrooms, swinging doors, skirts, arcs. I've fitted UPVC windows, doors, conservatories, all that sort of stuff. I've done some locksmithing over the years, bit of shuttering, and just sort of honing in on them joinery skills in my early sort of professional career. So yeah, it was actually in that time that I was working as a joiner. I went away for a couple of years and did some club repping, as you do when you're a young single lad. I went to Greece, sort of got a one-way flight, didn't have a flight back, didn't have anywhere to stay, just got a one-way flight with a friend of mine, and went to Greece, did a year in Greece, which was great. Came back to the tools, which was sort of what I knew I was able to do, because I'd sort of gained them qualifications. So I knew that I had that trade under my belt. So I was able to pursue other things, but knew that I was able to come back to construction when I needed it. And I wasn't done with that. The following year, I did another year in Tenerife, just up and left. Never been there in my life. Just off I went with a friend of mine when I was younger, and again sort of came back and got back on the tools, and that was that was what I did for quite a few years, a good sort of eight years of my early life. And then it wasn't until sort of 2010, 2011, when we were still sort of feeling the brunt of the credit crunch. I seen an advert on the TV for the army, a bit of a recruitment drive for the army, and that's, as I say, obviously I already had the interest in the army. That was when I decided to train and start to look to join the military.
So we had a second sliding doors moment there, didn't we? Which was out of your control, which was that credit crunch. You'd always had the tools and tricks from from school and college to get your trade, but again, that's never, you can never lose that. But I think you were forced. The army sort of reinvigorated you, didn't you? So you'd signed back up and thought, I'm going to try that one.
Yeah.
So do you want to go into what the next steps? This is a long career now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you can see there, I joined the army in 2012 as a communication logistics specialist. I did my training at ATR Pirbright, and then moved on to Blandford to do trade training, finishing up at DST Leconfield, where I did all my driver training, HGV licenses, and all that good stuff before being posted to my first unit in Hereford in Germany at 1 UK Armour Division Signal Regiment. I'd say probably the first few years in Germany as a young sort of private signaller was spent sort of braving the wet and the cold on certain exercises. Sort of maintaining a fleet of armored B fleet vehicles and maintaining their breakdown kits and sort of erecting and dismantling forward and rear echelons. And I think the main thing in the first few years was just perfecting how to make a good cup of tea, really, to be honest. And then it wasn't until 2015, 2016 when the British Army sort of moved from Germany back to the UK. It was my unit was one of them, one of those affected. So 1 UK ADSR then became and transitioned and became the 1st Signal Regiment, and we were relocated to Stafford. And it was actually that time in my life, I'd spent the first few years as a young soldier, no real sort of cares in the world, that I actually met my now wife and had my first child and got my first promotion to Lance Corporal. So that was probably, say, another sliding door moment where I knew that I had to sort of grow up a little bit and really start looking at sort of what the future will hold, and what sort of pathway I was gonna take, sort of thing. Yeah, so throughout my career, I was fortunate enough to sort of travel around numerous countries. As you can see on the timeline there, I've done Nepal, the highest mountain pass in the world, Canada, I've done the Rocky Mountains, I've done anti-poaching operations in Kenya, and it was sort of then that I really started to sort of become sort of the professional that I would say that I am today. And it wasn't, I was probably in Stafford a couple of years, and then I was selected for promotion to full screw corporal before being posted to Bicester in Oxford to 241 Signal Squadron. And it was there that I don't know how I come across it because it was quite a few years ago, but there was an opportunity to do an IOSH managing safely course, and it was actually because I'd been away from the construction industry for a while. It was quite a nostalgic course to do. I really enjoyed it. It was like it took me back to being sort of earlier on in my career as a joiner, because the actual the IOSH trainer, it was and the course itself was based around the construction industry, about health and safety on site, etc. And it was probably at that point I thought to myself, well, I'm not getting out the army yet, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this, and I'm going to sort of try and sort of take every opportunity I can to sort of set myself up in the future. And it was then that I had the conversation with a colleague of mine. I said, you know, whenever I do get out the army, I think construction is definitely something that I'm going to go back to. I already have the sort of the trade and the NVQA qualification, so anything I can do concurrent to my army career and any qualifications I can gain in leadership and management, etc., I'm definitely going to take full advantage of. I gained my NVQ level 3 in not my NVQ, so an NVQ level 3, a diploma in logistic management, which was a bit of a mandatory qualification I needed to gain in my military career to then pursue to view up the ranks. I was fortunate enough to be selected for promotion to sergeant, and my final unit was in Colchester. I was attached to 216 Parachute Signal Squadron. And sergeant, if you are aware of the army structure, is sort of a senior rank, and you get promoted and you go into the the sergeant warrant officer's mess, and to substantiate in rank, you basically you need to do career courses and cadres to make sure to become substantive in rank. And one of them courses allows you to gain a diploma. And I was lucky enough to get a level 5 diploma in leadership and management. So that was another sort of sliding door moment, and another sort of I don't know how to explain it. Another qualification that I was able to sort of put to a side, knowing that actually it was probably going to help me in my career moving forward.
It's amazing, Sonny.
yeah.
So it's amazing how sort of the parallel lines of construction management and the military piece that you've explained. It's nice that the transferable talent skills with the IOS diploma, that's bread and butter stuff in the construction sector, or you did logistics. We know how important that is in construction, and then similarly with leadership and management. So it's really good that the invest in people in the military, but they know that it's going to put you on good footings when you come out and you got that transferable skills. I know you're going to touch on your level 6 and transfer of credits and stuff on the next slide, aren't you? But again, it's really interesting how you start of you met your mentor, you had your sliding doors moment around coming back out and then civilian life, and you thought, the construction's the same, very similar industry. I'm having a bit of that, so this is why I'm going to set up and follow all these opportunities with the training.
Yeah.
Back to you, mate. I'm Macedonia and the
yeah, sure. Yeah. So I mean, them are just some of the sort of the great places I was fortunate enough to visit and to work with. I've worked with multiple sort of NATO allies, the American armies, Canadians, Macedonians. So that was some of the great places I was able to visit. It was actually sort of in 2000, what we are now, so it probably early last, no, cancel. It was probably 2022, 2023. I was thinking about leaving the army, and for me, one of the main reasons was I'd had a second child throughout that time. I had 2 kids. My little girl was 7. She'd attended 6 different schools, and I just wanted to sort of give them a bit more structure, a bit more stability, and move them back to where family and friends are, and things like that. And it was actually then I decided to start doing my due diligence and leave the army.
And the next steps, and again, it's the parallels with construction where you can be very transient, and you work with different nationalities, different regions. This, you doing that, it's very similar. It could be someone doing construction into the military timeline, so the parallels are obvious.
Yeah, that was definitely something I was going to mention, actually, because I've thought about that myself. A construction site is very similar, and working with such a diverse range of nationalities, people with all sort of different skill sets working towards one main goal is so sort of very similar to what construction site is. It's
same motivator.
Yeah. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. This is where we get into the military years. So please fill us in on the build force, your sliding doors moment around maybe the tools or management conundrum we touched on previously, and then where you are at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I say, when they decided to leave the army, I was sat watching a Man United game, having a pint with my mum, and I said to my mum, "says I'm thinking about leaving the army, and construction is definitely something that I'm looking to go back into. I've gained these qualifications, but I didn't know what sort of that looked like." My first idea was I was going to sort of get back on the tools. I was maybe going to set up my own little joinery outfit. And it was actually when I spoke to my sister, who's a quantity surveyor, she says, "Well, why not go down the management route? You've got these management qualifications, you are a manager, you got to sort of that managerial level in your army career." And I didn't know what opportunities were out there. So when I started my resettlement process, it was actually then that I was introduced to Buildforce, and Angela Forbes, who sort of runs Buildforce, and what they do is they facilitate that transition from the military into construction, into all different types of roles. And basically what they do is they sort of connect you with multiple tier one, principal contractors who run their own webinars, who've got their own sort of military talent pathways, if you will. And so I attended all of these sort of different webinars, getting an idea of what was out there. And then it was when they announced that they was running an Insight Day hosted by Waits in Manchester. So I went down to that day, met all the different sort of certain people who'd been in the military, were sort of in a similar position to me, who were either transitioning or had already transitioned, who were doing sort of the social value aspect of things and helping people as I wish to do. And I came across a lady called Angie Erdley, who worked for Waits, and I just felt like she really sort of I went a little bit more above and beyond for me. Really felt like she cared. She was sort of part of the social value department at Waits, and she followed up. Like, she followed up with me. Like, she called me. She was asking me how I was, and she actually managed to find me some work placement on a Waits project on Littleborough Primary School, a new build primary school near Rochdale, near Hollingworth Lake. And it was there I was able to sort of take all the leave that I'd accumulated in the army and on all my resettlement leave and go and work for a couple of months on this Waits project, and shadow the PM and the senior engineer and the site team, and sort of get my bearings back and get a bit of familiarization back into construction and the regulations, CDM. That's where I did my SMSTS and CSCS card. So I sort of started to have a real sort of clear vision of what I needed to do to sort of get myself back into the construction industry, and not only that, into a managerial role. It was actually from then I was invited to a job interview just after Christmas, last Christmas, on Rodney Street, the project that I'm actually currently on. And I met a guy called John Curry, who was the sort of ops director for Waits, and he basically said to me on the day, everybody that I'd worked with on the Littleborough primary school job, that they'd sort of seen something in me. I'd I'd sort of impressed, if you will, and he said, we want to offer you the job. What you're looking for? So, I mean, I was quite sort of taken back. I said, I'm looking for an assistant site manager role, section manager, as they call it in Waits, and he basically turned to me and said, "Listen, we can see what you bring from your military career. We can see the transferable skills you've got. We can see sort of the work you've put in over the past 2 months." So he offered me the site manager role, straight to site manager, which was I wasn't expecting, but I was very thankful for. And it was actually over the past few months, they've sort of put me forward for numerous courses and trainings. So as you can see, I'm now a lifting coordinator. I've done my first aid at work, fire marshal, and I've got other things that I'm looking to sort of pursue. And then, as you can see on the slide, then the sort of probably one of the main sort of sliding door moments, as you call it, was meeting yourself, Lee, when you attended Rodney Street site visit with the Manchester hub. Um, a friend of mine who I work with now, Sam, who we both know, he introduced me to yourself and told you my story, and yeah, I mean, I knew about the CIOB. I didn't know as much as I know now. It was definitely something I was pursuing. I wanted to sort of get that chartered status somewhere down the line, but I knew what I needed to do to be eligible for that was I needed to gain my MVQ level 6, my CSCS back card, and that is sort of where I'm at the moment. I'm doing my MVQ level 6 in construction contracting operations management. I'll then get my black card from that, and then hopefully come into your fine establishment.
Yeah, we're hoping to sponsor you through to that, so you get MCIOB in the not too distant future. And I think it's amazing how you've forged your career from your work ethic as well. And reflecting on this slide, if you look at like what you've done since you've got the opportunity with weights at Rodney Street with your lifting coordinator, fire marshal, first aid at work, if you think if it was, you'd almost flip it on the other way. If you were civilian and a construction site manager, and then you thought, I'd like to work in the military, them sort of skill sets can
Absolutely.
get you a good grounding in there, so you can move up the ranks in the army as well. So
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
it's very, very good.
Mm.
Could you just fill everyone in on what the ELCs are, future development? I'm keen to know, but as a bit of tips and tricks for anyone who's going to listen to this now or in the future. Well, you've got that transferable, your MVQs in your level 3 and 4 or whatever you brought from the military.
Yeah.
Got some little issues transferring that into your level 6 and getting some sponsorship, haven't you, some commercial bits. So could you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, sure. So ELCs, enhanced learning credits. Now, depending on how long you serve, you accumulate sort of these credits, and I think if you serve over 6 years, you get the full sort of shebang, and basically it's pots of money for you for your own sort of personal and professional development. So when I came out the army, I'd sort of saved all my enhanced learning credits. You can actually use them when you're serving, or you can save them till the end, and you can actually use them 5 years after leaving. So I knew that they were going to come into sort of they were going to be of a benefit to me once I'd left. So I came into weights with my own funding as well. So I know that obviously all companies have different pots of money everywhere, and for education and learning and things like that. And I think one of the things that I had and up my sleeve, if you will, is I had these enhanced learning credits, and I'm able to sort of utilize them in conjunction with whatever weights is doing for me. And yeah, I'm going to be using a section of it to help fund my MVQ level 6, and then once I've got my sort of once I've got that and I've got the black card, and once I've sort of worked towards getting that chartership status with the CIOB, I'll have another sort of pot of money for future development, which I'm not 100% on what I'm going to do with that yet. But again, it's going to be something for me to sort of enhance my employability and my own personal sort of professional growth, if you will.
Fantastic. So I think, again, if there's anyone listening who's in the military who's planning to leave, looking MELC's definitely worth over paper they're written on, aren't they? So again, you've got plenty of time to plan and use them to the best of your ability to satisfy the ends that you want. But again, I'm sure that in your advocacy space that you can advise people on that best ways to deploy them. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I said, I'm more than happy to talk to anybody who wants to talk or connect on LinkedIn. The lessons I've learned. Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. And just this is again a couple of minutes, if you would, on this project. I know you're going to be very proud of when it's delivered. And again, I think the goal getting and the tangible benefits of what you see in the teamwork will be evident in this when it's handed over. So, do you want to give a quick overview on Rodney Street, please?
Yeah, so this is Rodney Street in Ancoats in Manchester. This is what it will look like upon completion, probably around June time next year. It's a £40 million residential passive house property project, should I say. And I'm currently a sort of site manager with the onus on logistics, so site logistics manager. I run the logistics package, so all of your gatemen, your banksmen, your hoist drivers, your cleaners, your labourers. So sort of quite a big sort of team of people, which again goes back to the military and a lot of the sort of the things that I did in the military, looking after teams of men and women. It's relatable to the construction industry. Look after waste management, look after temporary electrics package, and all of the hoists, and the delivery schedules and everything else that goes into the logistics of a construction site. I'm sort of responsible for. So I'm doing that to the best of my ability, and I'm also working towards other sort of avenues in construction. So for me personally, I'm always looking to sort of broaden my horizons. So I'm doing sort of what I'm doing on Rodney Street, but potentially moving on to the next project. It might not be logistics that I'm sort of involved in. It might be more of the build and the fit out stage, which I can sort of lean back on my joinery experience from when I was younger. So yeah, that's Rodney Street in a nutshell. Really good project in the heart of Manchester.
Thanks, Sonny. And again, it's only 10 minutes walk from Piccadilly, so the logistics and deliveries, and it's a very congested
Yeah,
site. So
it's
again,
very tight.
yeah. And
Yeah.
as a bit of a plug for the CIOB Manchester hub, we've been invited to come back and come and see you and come and see this. Like we said, we saw it earlier last year when it was in its when it was a shell. So if anybody wants to sign up, it'll be advertised soon. We'll be coming to see in Q1 to look at the fit out and all that passive house detailing that you're tightly monitoring. Okay, a few more slides left. So Sonny is obviously, you can see Angie on the right there, can't you? Just want to give a little bit of your passions.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was just a bit of an internal sort of article that Waits did, and that's myself and Angie. It just goes over how we met and a bit about the story that I've shared with you today. On the left there is actually a social value event that Waits were part of, and that's similar to what the Insight Day looked like, with the stall set up, if you will, with the plethora of contractors and companies sort of promoting sort of themselves and recruiting from the military. So again, engagement is something that I'm really interested in. I did the engagement. I was part of the Northwest engagement team whilst I was in the army, and it's something that I want to carry on doing, giving back and sort of helping people who are looking to sort of transition from the military into construction.
Thank you. And I know back to the start of this presentation, this series, this episode around the different percentages of people unaware that these initiatives existed. So again, as leaders, as industry professionals, we need to share that message that there's lots of avenues and opportunities available for people leaving. We just need to make it more visible. And similarly to the employers of these big businesses, Waits obviously have this, and you're a testament to that. But some of the other organisations who are having a skills gap challenge, maybe they don't understand of what provisions are available for them.
Yeah.
Right, I don't know if you want to spend a few minutes on this. This is parallels between military and construction. I know we've dropped into it quite a bit during our conversation, Sonny, but I think if you just want to, anything specific, shout out there, please.
Yeah. So I mean, it's pretty self-evident with what it says there. There are so many similarities without going through each point. Um, everything from sort of building and working as part of a team is similar to military to construction. As it says, working outdoors, focus or goal orientated, working together as a team towards sort of one goal, working in diverse teams with a range of people from all over the world, and sort of being adapting to sort of to problems that potentially you need to solve, and conflict resolution. I think that's one of the big ones people don't realize. There's always conflict, and I think being able to sort of resolve conflict diplomatically is something that's a challenge and something that we strive towards. So yeah, there's just so many different similarities between military and construction.
And I think if anyone who's on the call who have watched some of the previous episodes, and particularly in neurodivergent space, we're clearly construction sectors and the pharma sector very attractive to neurodivergent individuals, and I should imagine, and I've not done anything about it yet, but I think there's an opportunity next year to look at the links for neurodivergence in the military, because obviously that's an equally attractive sector. So the parallels between it, again, the same sort of people who want to work in the military, the same sort of people who want to work in construction. And if you've had them mentors to give you the opportunities, you're not one of these people who's in the prison system, God forbid. So I think I think there's something there in that space that we should be looking to advocate in 2025. There we go, and I think that just summarises it as well, doesn't it, Sonny? It's obviously you've got two different hats on there, haven't you? A beret and a hard hat, but them skills from across your career and your life to date very similar in both, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as you can see there, I think one that I didn't touch on the previous slide was, health and safety compliance. I think, this day and age, that's massive, both in military and in construction. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to wrap it up on, actually. So this was just a bit more of evidence to back that up. This is out of a report that CIOB and Buildforce collaborated on a while back now, but basically teamwork, leadership, ability to follow instructions, and communication skills. So again, whether you're dealing with an irate neighbour because you've blocked the drive with a cement wagon, or something more life critical in the construction sector, the communication skills really do translate across both. And the ability to follow instructions, whether you're working in explosives or you're managing caution, dangerous chemicals in construction, there's a reason why instructions are there. And, it takes a certain mindset to realise the value of following instructions as well. So I think that's another transferable skill we should acknowledge. Okay. We've done really well for time. We've got 10 minutes left. B, I don't know if you've got if there's any questions in the chat or anything you'd like to add.
We haven't. No, we've got no questions in the chat. But if anybody would like to add them or come forward in the Q&A section, feel free to do so now.
Yeah, and I think that you will communicate this again out on LinkedIn, and if anyone wants to come back to B, Sonny, or myself with any questions, please reach out.
I've got a question, Lee,
yeah.
Actually. So first up, Sonny, I mean, if I've got my maths right, you're 36 now? Is that about right?
36 young, yes.
Seriously impressive. I mean, blew me away actually in terms of your life experience, the amount of responsibility you took from a tender age. You've been to some serious locations across the globe. So super impressive individual, and thank you for sharing that story with us. Just in terms of questions, I did have a few jotted down, but you pretty much answered most of them in the deck. So I wanted to know about what factors helped you determine the right role as you come out of the military? You answered that. I wanted to ask about transferable skills. You answered that. And then I wanted to talk about similarities between the military and construction. You answered that. So fantastic slide deck. What really stood out for me though is when I'm looking at what could we do from an ISPE perspective as well. The people that you referenced is Angela or Angie from Waits, who I don't know. She sounds absolutely fantastic, and
Yeah.
you know, and Lee, as you know, as we all know, is you know, top guy right up there. But you seem to be like the perfect model for this kind of pathway in terms of somebody coming out of the military, getting onto a mentorship program, identifying those key transferable skills. So for me, what I'm thinking now is, how as an industry, whether it be construction or pharma, how can we replicate that so it's a common pathway? So somebody goes, right, this is what I want to do. This is what I need to do to put that plan into action.
Yeah.
You know,
I think for me, I think it's about engagement. I think it's about getting amongst the resettlement process in the military, similar to what Build Force is doing, and sort of having that access to soldiers and other people who may not know and not be aware. The social value department, another lad called Daniel Prophet, who I work with, he does it so well by trying to sort of get that engagement piece going, and there's others, so there's the Royal British Legion and things like that, just about engaging with people and sort of putting the information out there, and being more sort of available to people, I would say was one of the main things.
okay.
I think we've got a really good opportunity to work on this next year, Chris, with your ISPE event in Manchester. So, you know, I think we should definitely look at it. And from your sector, you know, commissioning, qualification, validation of pharmaceutical equipment, we know how regulated that is an industry, you know, drugs to patients, and the criticality of robust processes and procedures. And I'm sure there's a lot of people in the military who have that same diligence and know why the rules are there to follow and validate it and all that stuff. So I do think there's untapped potential there.
Yeah,
And
I
one
mean,
more point, sorry, Chris, just one more point as well. There is the enhanced learning credits and the standard learning credits that people in the military have. Not everybody accepts them credits. And I think people are reluctant because they're unaware of what it is. I think having more sort of training providers accept these enhanced learning credits, especially when it comes to sort of your industry and pharma and things like that, I think that'd be massively beneficial, having people being able to accept them credits.
it's a great shout. That's a great shout, Sonny. I will explore that more. I think we're going to be seeing more of you.
Yeah.
So
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for
Yeah,
today.
thanks, Sonny.
Really appreciate it.
thank you.
Final couple of slides and we'll wrap up. We're bang on time. So we've got obviously our CIOB support, CIOB assist, and all of our, you know, support for our members. Again, this was touched, you know, we've had people reach out with the neurodiversity angle of our episodes, but again, you know, the military one and the stuff we've learned today, if anyone wants to utilise them avenues on offer, please do so. And we'd like to close with the Build Force one. So again, info@buildforce.org.uk. I'm hoping that we'll re-engage with them after this. I'm sure Angela Forbes would love to have a look at this recording. So maybe we've got an opportunity to tie, you know, the ISPE in with Build Force again into future events. And again, we have our EDI charter around, you know, skill set, doing things ethically, and harnessing our diverse workforce. And again, lots of businesses have signed up for that. If we can reach out to them and show them the values of advanced learning credits, I think, you know, that might go some way to solve that gap for Chris, and also help Sonny's believers coming out of the army have something tangible to spend them credits on. And that's it. Thank you very much. I hope the recording is going to be forthcoming. Really enjoyed running these 5 episodes of this live series, please reach out to myself, B, or Chris, or Sonny via LinkedIn if you've got any further builds, and hopefully see you in January, February, or March at Rodney Street. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a nice Christmas.
All the best. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Cheers.
Sonny.